everyone, it's Debbie with BookAndBuJo. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you've been here before. Join me today as I set up my March bullet journal. Let's start with the flip through of February. So I had my potions theme with my little window. I love this washi or PET tape. It is so cool. My calendar, still a little early in the month, but I have to film early because I will be gone at the end of the month. So my gratitude page, movement trackers, habit trackers, and habit and cleaning trackers, my Devos and TBR, which, I can actually update that. I did finish The Sun and the Star Maker. That was so good. Such a good book. My dashboard, and then my weeklies. So I am loving these little tabs. I may have to do that again for March. And again, more of the little potion bookshelves, or potion shelves, not bookshelves, potion shelves. And then we're going to go into March. But first, let's go over some supplies. So I do have my Archer and Olive journal in the A5 size, and it's the white dot grid. I have the script washi tape that I will hopefully use. And the rest of the washi tape here. So I was kind of thinking maybe one or two of these little lantern ones, which I thought was kind of pretty. And then some random, this is a sticker, I think this is actually off of this one. Just random one left. And some vintage washi and kind of this goldish color. And then this one is from Journal Say. Yeah, it's right there. So that's what this is from. So maybe some of these. For pens, I have a few. So I have the BookAndBuJo sketch liner. These are the sepia fine liners in 0.05 up to 0.8. A Zebra Sarasa Clip pen in the vintage brown. I don't remember what number this is. I usually put a piece of tape on it so it doesn't rub off, but this one, I will find out what the number is and link it down below for you. And then I have another Sakura Jelly Roll. This one's the metallic and it's the brown. And then a couple of Right Tech Sign brush pens in kind of the vintage goldish yellow, kind of yellowy. And then the light brown. And then I have the Mystical Ephemera book. And I have a few. I'm kind of going with like these silhouettes, kind of for the theme, kind of vintage silhouettes. Probably not that one. And then I'm still kind of wondering about some of these, if I want to put some of those for a little Gothic touch, I guess. I don't know, I may save those for a separate theme, but they're in here just in case I decide I want to use some of them. Maybe a couple of these. And then kind of like all these little portraits. That's kind of, maybe instead of silhouettes, maybe kind of a portrait theme. I don't know, something like that. I'm just making this one up as I go. And then I have some of the font headers that I printed off in this really fun font. And I do have some for my reading journal in here just so I could fill up the page. And then for stickers, and then I have some like little magnifying glasses and books. Not sure about that. I've just kind of pulled out these kind of like brownish gold kind of colors. So some corner frames, some locks and keys, and then just some random papers that I have. These are from Journal Say for the most part. These ones are for some washi gift that I got for Christmas. This was in one of those packs. And then I have some craft paper left over from some other projects. And then just some random papers from Journal Say that I thought might work okay. These ones might be a little too dark for what I'm going for. Okay, I did find a couple other washi tapes that I may use. It's more of that kind of vintage magazine, newspaper kind of look. And then, of course, my standards. Scissors, nub eraser, tweezers, pencil, glue stick, ruler, and sticker assist mat. All right, so let's go ahead and get started setting up for March, if I can find it. There it is. As I was picking out my verse of the month, this one just really stood out to me, just the sing to him, sing praises to him, tell of all his wondrous works, and just giving thanks to the Lord for all that we have and all that he has given us. And as a singer, I just loved this verse, and it just really stood out to me, so I wanted to make sure that I used this. And I think it was a one-off from one of the devotionals that I was doing, and it stuck with me, so that's how I picked that one. For my devos, I always have a Bible in a year devotional that I do, one that's for the whole 365 days. And so I always have that in my little tracker. And then in the morning, because a lot of times there isn't necessarily a devotional that goes with the Bible reading, so I want to make sure I also have one that's a devo in the morning. So I do a devotional in the morning, and then in the evening I will do one as well. And so that's kind of how I choose what devotionals I'm going to be doing. So the Bible in a year is, of course, all 365 days, so it hits every day of the month. Since I'm following Joshi Curran's cyclic planning right now, all of the months for that, like how you set up the months, they're all 28 days, and so that makes it really easy to pick some Bible plans, and I did find quite a few that are 28 days, and I did find the one that's living in increase, and I'm doing part 1 right now, and there's a part 2. I believe there's up through part 5, possibly part 6, so that will take me through my morning devotionals for quite a few months to come. I am only making 2 boxes here, so I need to make sure I find 2 devotionals. So I could do one that's a 21 day and one that's a 7 day. I can do 2 14-day ones, something like that. A lot of times I'll have 3 or 4 boxes, but this time I decided I'm going to do a couple longer ones. And then for my TBR, I will just fill in the bookcase as I read my books. For my dashboard, for my top goals, I do have things separated into categories. So I have career, I have creativity, so that could be crafts and things like that. Health and wellness, so things I need to do to continue my health goals. Hearth and home, cleaning and other things I want to do around the house. Relationships, so spending time with others. Could be my spouse, my immediate family, friends. And then soul and senses is my spiritual goals, spending more time in God's word and starting to annotate as I read instead of just listening to it. Pull out the Bible while I'm reading and try and annotate things as well, or maybe doing a Bible study where I do one book in a month and I annotate that book. I would probably start out with a book that has a shorter amount of chapters, so like Philippians or Galatians or Colossians or one of those, because Paul's works are always really fun ones to annotate. And then I have my routines and my tasks and my priorities for March and the last part of Q1. Then for my weeklies, I decided I wanted to add kind of the things I want to try and do in the mornings. So gua sha, jade roller, dry brush, vagus nerve, lymphatic drainage, and my acupressure mat. I've been using my acupressure mat, laying on that while I've been doing my meditation, and that's been working well. And I've been kind of rotating all of the other ones. So I would do gua sha one day, jade roller the next, dry brushing the next day, vagus nerve the next day, so on and so forth. I really do want to get into trying to do dailies, but for some reason doing the setup of the next day, each day, I struggle with that, or I have in the past struggled with that, which is why I tend to do weeklies. I like weeklies just because I can see at a glance they're already there, and if I have something that comes up, I can write it down right away. I don't have to wait for the daily to write it down and then have to look back at my calendar to make sure I put that in there. So I think those are some routines that I need to work on, that maybe that could work for me, or just realize, you know what, weeklies are working fine. Let's just keep with that. So I may end up just giving up on the idea. I guess giving up isn't the right word for it. Realize that weeklies really do work better for the way my brain works instead of doing dailies, and not beat myself up about it, because dailies work for some people, weeklies work for others, and others just like more of a monthly overview and don't need something for the daily kind of thing. So just be okay with the fact that I prefer weeklies, at least for now. And then for my favorites, I always have a favorite YouTuber, and I'm putting in my favorite music, movies, TV series that we're watching, maybe the favorite craft I did that month, favorite media that I've been consuming. So whether that be, again, YouTube, or maybe there's an Instagrammer, or maybe it's a book or an article or something on Substack, something like that is kind of what I'm thinking for that media spot. And now for a final flip through. So my March kind of a silhouette theme. Start with the cover page and the quote from Joel Brown. Most people chasing their dreams don't see the bigger picture. They just see the silhouette make the vision real. And I got to use my keys and locks a couple of times in here. My monthly calendar with my memory verse for the month is 1 Chronicles 16, 8 through 9. O give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples. Sing to him, sing praises to him, tell of all his wondrous works. And I am glad I got to use some of this washi tape, the kind of the vintage washi tape that I have. I've had it for a while and I don't use it enough. And then I loved using all these little portraits and the frames. So my gratitude page, movement trackers. And I have my habits and my cleaning trackers, my Devos and TBR. And I did find another quote that I liked. It says, "The comeback is always stronger than the setback." Lady Nubian, Queen Diva. Actually, I think it's Queen Diva, Lady Nubian. I think I put those in there backwards. Then we have my dashboard where I will put my top goals here. And then I have my routines, which this is where I had them last month, but I ended up putting in the weeklies also. So we'll see. I'll probably put 2 different sets of routines for those, but have that there. My tasks, like important tasks that I need to make sure to remember, we'll put there, but don't have a specific time period. Priorities, make time for, and things to let go of. I also found a great quote by Alex E. Harrow. She is a silhouette on the windowsill, an apparition in the alley, a woman there and gone again. She has a pocket full of witch ways and a voice whispering the right words to the right women, the clack of a cane against cobbles. I thought that was kind of fun. And then I have my weeklies, and this is some of the routines. So gua sha, jade roller, dry brush, vagus nerve exercises, lymphatic drainage, and my acupressure mat. And then this is just from one of the stickers I had, the delicate stroke. The delicate strokes and loops of cursive writing weave a tapestry of nostalgia and elegance. I thought that worked well with kind of this vintage silhouette theme. There's nothing special about this washi. I actually am not a big animal print person, but I thought, you know what, it works, and I will try and use some of it up here. But I love this script washi from Journal Say. It is amazing. And I do have a discount code for Journal Say linked down in the description box below in case you would like to pick up some. And then I have the little stickers from the Mystical Ephemera book for my tabs. I really liked how they worked last month, and I think I'm going to kind of continue that through the coming months as well. And then, again, continuing with my weeklies, with the script washi and the keys. I do like that. And then each week I have a spot for like something. So notes, updates, I have memories here, and then things that are coming up next. So like the updates could be crafting updates, if I've finished something or I've gotten to a certain point and it's kind of like a milestone in that goal. I'll put those there. And then again, the last week of the quarter. And then here I have favorites, and then reflection, which will be for Q1. So a little bit with March, but mostly Q1 reflections. what I learned, things I was proud of, how can I improve next quarter, things I'm excited or nervous about, challenges and successes, things I neglected, and how can I nurture this area? Like, why did I neglect it, and was that okay, or do I need to do something to make sure it's not neglected in the future? What one habit change would make the most difference in my life right now? And I will put that one there. And then that's it for March. So thank you so much for joining me as I set up my March bullet journal. I am so glad that you were here. I had so much fun with this theme, especially since it wasn't really fleshed out. I just knew I wanted to use some of these little portraits and the frames and some of the silhouettes that I had in the Mystical Ephemera book, and that's about as far as I went into it. So I am very happy with how it came out. And if you made it this far in the video, do they leave some type of frame emoji? I'm sure there's some kind of frame. So a frame or maybe even a key. Leave that as a comment for me to let me know that you are here. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other planning content. And until next time, keep planning. Bye!